Each year, hundreds of thousands of people make their way to antiques fairs and flea markets across the UK, drawn by the possibility of discovering something special. Barry James, a carer and passionate art collector, believes he may have done just that. He recently discovered a painting he believes to be by none other than Sir Winston Churchill.
So the owner of the painting has agreed to show it to us in one of the houses that Churchill used to stay in. You'll love it, a modest sort of place.
Blenheim Palace? Philip, this is grand, even for you.
Hello, Barry.
Hi, Barry.
Hi, Philip. Hi, Fiona.
Recognise this man, of
do,
course.
Sir Winston Churchill, Prime Minister, war leader, and amateur painter,
Let's go and have a look.
whose paintings can sell for millions of pounds.
Oh, it's very pretty, isn't it?
Really emotive work. Could this painting of an English garden on a summer's day be one of Sir Winston's lost works?
We're on the hunt for lost treasure. That is massively encouraging. International art dealer Philip Mould and I have teamed up to investigate mysterious works of art.
I don't believe it.
But are they worthless fakes
Someone had put a signature on top. Dastardly.
or missing masterpieces
This is indeed a work by Helen McNichol.
worth a fortune?
At 42 million. So, thank you very much.
Barry has set his picture up in Blenheim Palace's India Room. Decorated in the 1820s with scenes of a tiger hunt, this is somewhere Churchill liked to paint.
This is really fascinating, Barry. Barry's picture depicts a garden on a summer's day. Some imposing steps framed with pink flowers, perhaps a rose of some sort, and a woman perched on a wall reading a book. What's the background story?
I bought it from an antique fair almost 3 years ago in Sussex. Didn't pay much for it.
What did you pay?
Paid £140 for it.
Gosh,
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of a bargain.
Well, what was it sold as? Winston Churchill?
No, just an unsigned painting, which it was.
So at this stage, the name Churchill hasn't been attached to it at all. So what happens next?
Well, it was actually a couple of days later I took it out of the frame. I found an inscription on the back here.
Oh,
Hang
an
on.
inscription.
Yeah.
So this painting of Mrs. Winston Churchill on wall of sunken garden at Hurstmonceux, I think you pronounce that, Hurstmonceux Castle, Sussex, by the Right Honourable Winston S. Churchill, June 1916. Wow. What did you think when you saw that?
I was blown away.
Yeah, I bet you were.
Churchill's stirring wartime speeches and determined personality made him an enduring symbol of courage and resilience, though in recent years he's become a more divisive figure. For Churchill, painting was a tool for managing his mental health and a vital distraction from the challenges of his high-powered life. Although he dismissed his own work as amateur daubs, enthusiastic collectors from the UK and America have driven prices up. A painting of his, owned by actor Angelina Jolie, sold a few years ago for £7 million. This looks like quite old handwriting. You know, it could be early 20th century. And the date, 1916, so that's basically just a year after Churchill decides to take up painting as a pastime. And then it continues as a passion throughout his life. So this could be something really emotive, really important.
And just turn it over again,
Yeah, sure.
if you wouldn't mind. When you saw it at this antiques fair, what attracted you to it?
With the colours, really. The composition was quite nice.
There's some really distinctive strokes and colours here. The splodgy background strokes look like they've been done with the tip of a large brush, also used for the hedge at the right. The technique is distinctive and done with boldness and gusto.
You've got this inscription on the back,
Yeah.
but the fact there's no signature on it, is there any significance in that?
No, sometimes he signed, sometimes he didn't.
Was there anything else that you noted about it?
Found a number on the back here, which is a Christie stock number.
Oh, from the auction house?
From the auction house Christie's, yeah.
Yeah, you get those marks on a lot of pictures, not these days, but in the past, that show that it's been through Christie's in some way. It's been considered or sold or something of that description.
If we are to prove this is by Churchill, we have been there before, you and I. It was about 10 years ago. We looked at a Churchill painting, which we were convinced was right.
It was undeniably right, but what happened?
Well, we didn't get it through,
No,
did we?
it was turned down.
In 2015, we looked into a painting of a fountain in the French town of Saint-Paul-de-Vence. Several years later, a photograph of it was found in Churchill's archives that finally proved it was by the great man. We'll need to find the same kind of cast iron evidence for Barry's picture. The process of authentication for Churchill is in a kind of limbo, and our only hope of getting the art world to accept the painting as genuine will be an inarguable provenance that takes us back to Churchill's own brush.
So if it is by Churchill, what do you think it could be worth?
Well, we're looking at, I think, a very significant value. And if this is Clementine in the picture, his wife, adds a certain sort of rich, emotive element. We're talking up to about £500,000.
Wait, wow!
I didn't think that. I didn't expect that at all. Amazing.
I'll say.
Gobsmacked, yeah.
To start the investigation, I want to find out a bit more about the circumstances in which Barry bought the painting. So we're heading to the tea room.
Barry, tell me about you and your collecting of pictures. So you bought this particular picture at an antique sale.
I did, yeah.
Is that something you do a lot?
Yeah, quite often. Yeah, I've been doing it for 35 years now.
And have you bought many?
Oh, thousands.
Thousands?
Yeah. I don't have any hanging up at all.
You don't have any pictures on the wall?
No, my wife doesn't like pictures hanging up. I know it sounds crazy.
It does sound crazy, yeah.
Plenty of pictures of the kids and stuff, but no pictures themselves, oil paintings or watercolours.
What have you managed to find out yourself about the painting?
I made an appointment at a major auction, turned up, they couldn't even bother to come down and see me, so I went unannounced to another auction around the corner. They liked it, they said it is like something Churchill would paint, but they thought some of it was painted in acrylic. I was just dumbfounded.
I mean, it looks like oil to
Oh, it's definitely oil, yeah. So what do you do?
When you took the painting around auction houses, were you taken seriously, do you
No,
think?
not at all, no. I think probably because of the way I speak, the way I dress, just don't look like a typical art person, art dealer.
It's quite a rarefied world, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
grand auction houses.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And what about the numbers on the back? Because you say you recognise those as a Christie's stamp.
Yeah.
So have you been to Christie's?
I did, yeah. I worked at the archives, and all they could say to me that it came from a bank. They couldn't really tell me any more about it. But then the number is on the back of the frame, not the picture itself, so it could have just been the frame and another picture that went into...
Of course, it's the backing of the frame
The
it's
backing
on,
of the
isn't
frame,
it?
so it might not have been the picture, it was in the frame at the time.
So you've made some progress with your picture by the sounds of it. And then you've hit a brick wall, which is why you've come to us.
Yeah, I'm hoping you guys can help me out.
Yeah. Well, we'll do our best.
Appreciate that. You never know. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely.
While Fiona and Barry get stuck into the biscuits, I'm taking the opportunity to look at a genuine Churchill here at Blenheim that was painted in 1915, a year before the 1916 date on the back of Barry's picture. Are there any stylistic similarities that may link the two? Around the corner and lurking down the end of a corridor is the picture that I've been looking for. This was done in 1915, the year he started painting. A sort of landscape portrait, if you want, done at Hoe Farmhouse, a place of refuge for the family, and it represents Gwendolyn Churchill, who's Winston Churchill's sister-in-law, who has a very crucial part to play, because in the year that this was painted, at this very place in Hoe Farm, Gwendolyn introduced him to art. She suggested that he use her son's watercolours, and from there he moved to oil paintings, and art became that passion, one of the guiding muses of his life. I don't want to be rude about Winston Churchill. I mean, let's not forget, though, he'd just started. This is a slightly amateur painting. You've got a splinter of green above, brushing against a splinter of green below. And then there are emerging idiosyncrasies. And if you peer very carefully in the tree in the top left corner, you can see he's applied blue on top of the green to create a few windows into the foliage. He's put some blue on top.
Barry's painting uses the same technique. Blue paint added later to create windows of sky in the leaves.
And then there's the figure. Now, this figure is stiff. It's not really that plausible. Churchill clearly needed anatomy lessons, but it is very distinctive.
Notice how the figure looks a bit like a mannequin. In Barry's painting, Clementine is rendered in a similarly stiff pose.
There are traits of a particular hand at work, and I think we've got enough to start our investigation.
Back in London, I'm hitting the books. The inscription on the back of Barry's picture says it was painted at Herstmonceux Castle in June 1916. So what was going on in Churchill's life at this point? The previous year, he'd been blamed for the Allied disaster at Gallipoli. He resigned from office and served on the Western Front for 6 months, returning to England in early May 1916. Bitter and brooding, friends considered him a broken man. Did he paint Barry's picture a mere month later? The first place I need to check are the catalogues of Churchill's artworks.
Barry's picture is not listed in either of these books, which is a shame, obviously. But there's a fantastic quotation in one of them from Violet Bonham Carter, who was the daughter of Prime Minister Herbert Asquith, and she describes a stay at Herstmonceux Castle along with Winston Churchill. And she talks about watching him paint in the garden. She says, as he painted, his tensions relaxed, his frustration evaporated.
The quotation is taken from Violet's 1965 published account of her friendship with Churchill.
This book ends in 1916, but Violet describes a visit to Herstmonceux Castle in Sussex. She's invited by the owner, and among the other guests is Winston Churchill, his wife Clementine, and his mother. And just before Winston Churchill arrives, the big moment, there's a wonderful description. Listen to this. His coming was heralded by a procession of gardeners bearing an easel, a large canvas, a chair, a box of paints, and a bristling bundle of brushes, the whole armoury of his new art. And she then goes on to describe him painting in the garden. She says, watching him paint for the first time on that June morning, I became suddenly aware it was the only occupation I'd ever seen him practice in silence. And she describes Winston Churchill's bitterness and sadness, frustration that he is no longer part of the war. And the only thing that brings him any kind of solace or peace is painting. So reading this, putting it all together, we've got the date 1916, June, Herstmonceux Castle, in the garden, and Winston Churchill painting the scene before him. It certainly sounds like it could be Barry's picture that she's describing here. How do we prove it, though?
Meanwhile, I'm dropping the painting off at the Courtauld Institute of Art, where Professor Aviva Bernstock wastes no time in starting a thorough scientific examination. UV light shows some areas of overpaint. Analysis of the earlier pigment beneath will help date the painting. Now it's back to the gallery to take stock.
Well, you've got your work cut out on this one. No provenance, except Barry buying it at an antiques fair.
Yes, I know.
But there's a particular challenge with Winston Churchill. He's not really like other artists because, as well as being a painter, we're dealing with probably the most famous political figure of the 20th century. So therefore, it's not just a question of working out provenance, it's placing it in his career, when and possibly why he might have done it. And I know for certain it's never been possible to authenticate a Churchill without knowing every single detail.
Look, we've got the inscription on the back. Let's not forget that. It appears to corroborate Violet Bonham Carter's account, which I read.
And are there subtle clues here? I mean, take the spelling of Herstmannsee. That's not how it's done these days. It's quite old-fashioned. 20s, 30s, perhaps?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Surely the big question is, who wrote this inscription?
Fortunately, we have a list of names that Violet Bonham Carter says were at Herstmannsee when she saw Churchill painting. Could one of them have kept the picture and recorded the details on the back?
This is really beginning to feel like an Agatha Christie, except it's not a smoking gun, but a smoking paintbrush that we're after.
Well, let's get them together in the drawing room in Agatha Christie style. So, we've got Churchill, Violet Bonham Carter and her husband Morris, Churchill's wife, Clementine, who's apparently in the painting itself, according to the inscription, Churchill's mother, Jenny, she was there as well. And then, of course, the man who invited them all, the MP, Claude Lowther, the Conservative MP.
This is beginning to feel more and more like a Sussex drama. And, of course, Ardingly Antiques Fair, where Barry bought the picture, is only about 30 miles from Herstmannsee.
So could it have been painted in a castle and then 100 years later sold just down the road at an antiques fair? Is that just coincidence?
Do you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to go to Ardingly Antiques Fair, have a sniff around, talk to some of the stall holders there.
All right, well, why don't I go to Herstmannsee and go back to the beginning of this, where this painting appears to have been painted, and see what I can find out from that end.
Sounds like a plan.
I'm following up on the inscription on the back of the picture. It says Churchill painted his wife Clementine in the garden of Herstmannsee Castle in June 1916.
So I've come to Herstmannsee Castle to see if that's actually true. See if I can find the exact spot where, hopefully, Winston Churchill painted Barry's picture.
Herstmannsee Castle dates from the 15th century. Built as a fortified mansion, it was largely dismantled in the 18th century. Eventually, the picturesque ruin was bought by the Conservative MP Colonel Claude Lowther in 1911, who set about restoring the castle and garden.
Wow, look at that. Gorgeous.
I've arranged to meet Dylan, garden supervisor here.
Dylan, hi.
Hello.
Fiona, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This is all looking magnificent.
Thank you.
So, I've got a picture of a painting here that we're investigating, and the owner hopes it's here at Herstmannsee with
Right.
this staircase and the wall. Does this look familiar to you?
Yes, it does. It does.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
And whereabouts is it?
Just down here.
Right, OK.
Violet Bonham Carter remembered this garden as a place where herbaceous borders flowed in torrents of colour against a background of old brick walls.
So, you reckon these are the steps? They look different, though, don't they?
I think these were the original steps before they were developed in the 30s and extended out.
Oh, I see. Right. Though the...
Column looks the same.
Yes, with the ball on top.
This is fascinating. The steps haven't looked like Barry's picture since the 1930s, almost 90 years ago.
What about this very imposing tree?
So that's a black mulberry tree. Taller then, has reduced due to limb drop. It's very heavy fruit, and the wood itself is quite brittle. So we've got various supports holding it up. So we believe it to be about 150 years old.
Oh, I see. And that's that tree there?
That's that tree there, yes.
Oh, wow. And then, I mean, these yew hedges are stunning. But how does that work with the angle of this picture, then?
So I think he would have painted it from over there.
Over here? Oh, I see. Oh, I see. So this corner, is this here?
Yes.
Right, I've got you. So this yew hedge would have been a bit shorter then?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, and there's even a climber here. I mean, these roses are not as old as 1916,
No.
but you get the idea.
So there were embedding plants or rambling rows, and these roses would have been removed when they developed the stairway.
Yeah. Which is a bit of a shame, actually.
It's a shame.
Because they look stunning. Wow. Oh, my goodness. I mean, it hasn't changed much,
Not
has it?
really, no.
I mean, I'm thinking whoever painted this, I mean, it has to have stood right here, really.
Definitely.
If this is by Winston Churchill, there's a possibility this is Clemmy, his wife. Oh, come on, Dylan, do you want to go and be Clemmy?
OK.
Go
I'll
and-
be Clemmy.
You haven't got a pink dress on, so you've let us down a bit there, Dylan. But do you want to go and
Sure.
sit up there?
I will.
You're a very good sport. All right, Dylan, right, so moving along, little bit. Oh, about there, I reckon. Right now, perch in a ladylike fashion, as if you're reading a book. Oh, that's it. Oh, looking good. Right, Dylan, I'm going to get a picture. Hang on, because I need to show this to Philip. OK. Reading your book with your lovely pink dress on. Perfect. You're a perfect Clementine.
We're not here at the same time of year, but the similarities are undeniable. This is definitely the right place.
So that's one question answered. This painting is of Herstmonceux Castle, and whoever painted it must have stood here and seen exactly this view. But was it Winston Churchill? Still don't know that.
Oh, well done, Fiona. I have to say, that looks like the spot. So now we know that Barry's picture depicts the garden at Herstmonceux as it was over 90 years ago. But we still don't understand how the painting ended up in an antiques fair in 2022. The International Antiques and Collectors Fair at Ardingly in West Sussex is just 30 miles away from Herstmonceux and attracts tens of thousands of visitors each year. Barry bought his picture here, but can't remember much about the person who sold it to him.
I mean, is there anything that you can recall that might help us?
All I remember is a middle-aged guy, white van.
Sorry, Barry, middle-aged man.
I know.
White van. Have you any idea how many there are?
Unsurprisingly, the fair's organisers can't match Barry's description to their records.
It's a bit of a long shot, Barry, but my hope is that by coming here, you'll be able to remember the person you bought it from.
I know it was on the grass, but it's by Abergavenny Hall, wherever that is. It's over there.
Oh, OK.
Yeah.
Well, we can make our way there. But of course, he might not necessarily have returned
No, of course not. No,
to the scene.
No.
As well as trying to spot Barry's elusive seller, we have flyers to jog people's memories. Does one of the stall holders recognise the painting?
Look, I wonder if you could help us. Barry here bought this painting 3 years ago, somewhere in the fair. Does it ring any bells?
It wasn't us, I'm afraid, and I haven't seen that one.
Hello there. Hi. Does it mean anything to you?
Not ringing any bells. People move around, so it's difficult.
People move
to know,
around.
Yeah.
We'll keep looking. Oh, I mean, the terms needle and haystack come to mind. I wonder if you could help us.
Yes, of course.
First, does the picture mean anything to you?
No. Do you know whereabouts it was?
I do, as I bought it over by the hall there, Abergavenny Hall.
So a lot of people just come from once or just come twice.
Yeah.
So someone who could have been there 1 year could quite easily
Yeah.
not be the next. Oh dear.
Yeah.
That's another layer of
It is,
complication,
yeah.
Barry.
After handing out all our flyers and speaking to scores of stall holders, we're taking a break.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Tell me when.
Yeah.
And I'm keen to find out where hunting for lost treasures fits into Barry's life.
So, Barry, I know you and your wife are joint carers. Where does the art and the collecting and the hunt come into it all?
I think it's just a form of respite, really, coming to these places. We need some sort of break, you know. She does her own thing, and I just come out now and again in the morning.
A therapy that can occasionally be profitable.
Yeah, it's definitely a therapy, yeah. Yeah, I just love it.
You've had some cracking finds in your time.
Yeah, I just buy what I like, really. I found a nice painting by Ludwig Meyer, the German expressionist.
Serious artist.
Yeah, signed and dated 1912, yeah. It was a nice find.
And where did you discover that?
I bought that from a small auction.
And you sold it?
I did, yeah.
God, that looks like a serious picture.
Yeah.
Incredible subject. That must have fed you for a few years.
It did, yeah.
Whew. So coming back to your, with any luck, Winston Churchill, if we did prove to the satisfaction of the art market that this was by Churchill,
Yeah.
what would you do with it?
I think reluctantly I probably would end up selling it.
What would you do with the proceeds?
Well, obviously for the family. I mean, we always want to go to Niagara Falls. We'd go there for a start. My youngest son, he'd love to go there.
Why Niagara Falls as a matter of interest?
My son's disabled, and I think he'd really enjoy something like that. I mean, he's got a sensory room which he really enjoys, and something like Niagara Falls, the sound and the visual effects and stuff, I think that's somewhere that he'd really enjoy to go.
I can totally understand that. Well, let's do our damnedest to prove it.
Much appreciated.
As the day comes to a close, it's clear we're no further forward.
Well, sadly, it looks as though we've drawn a blank. It doesn't look as though we found the guy who sold the picture to Barry. Therefore, surely now we've got to look more closely than ever at Herstmonceux.
30 miles away, back at Herstmonceux Castle, I'm keen to see if we can find anything that might corroborate the account of Churchill's visit in 1916. Historian Claire Kennan has been looking into records from Herstmonceux and other archives.
Claire, hello.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
And I'm meeting her in the staircase hall.
I brought along the picture that we are looking at. Written on the back, it's described as being here at Herstmonceux and painted by Winston Churchill when he was invited here by Claude Lowther. So Claude Lowther, what can you tell me about him?
Claude Lowther is a really, really interesting character. He purchases the castle in around 1910, 1911, and it is a complete ruin. He sets about restoring the castle. He really wants to create this fabulous country home.
And this is him, is it?
And this is him, yes, taken in 1902, looking very dapper.
Was Lowther good friends with Churchill?
That's harder to discern, but we do know that Churchill does certainly come and visit the castle at some point.
So what do we know about Churchill's visits here then?
We can place them in the summer of 1916. We know that he comes here during a period when he's feeling very low, perhaps depressed by what's going on the Western Front. And he comes to rest and recuperate, to paint and to ponder.
We've already spoken to the head gardener here, Dylan. He thinks this is here at Herstmonceux. Have we got any photographs of the garden or of the castle at the time?
Certainly, and the one that we've got here actually looks very much like what's represented in the painting. You can see that we've got the same steps, we've got the same sort of borders, slightly different angle, but to my mind, this could be very much the location that Churchill painted.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, look at that.
Yep.
And is there anything that places Churchill here in 1916 in June?
Not in June, but we do have a letter here dated August 1916 where Churchill is talking about his visit to Herstmonceux. And in this particular one that we've got, he actually talks about how he can hear the guns thudding away on the Western Front during his stay. So we can place Churchill at Herstmonceux Castle in the summer of 1916, but not necessarily in June.
Oh, we're so close. I mean,
I know.
we found the spot.
Yep.
We've put Churchill and Lowther together.
We have.
We've put Churchill at Herstmonceux in the summer of 1916, but August and not June. But this has been very useful, Claire. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're gradually assembling evidence to prove that Churchill was indeed painting at Herstmonceux in the summer of 1916. So back in London, Philip and I are meeting up at the gallery.
Hi.
Hey, Philip.
To plot out our next steps.
So let me update you. The stencil on the bag that Barry went to Christie's about, and all they could tell him was that his picture had been brought in with another by a bank. So I approached them, and they agreed to contact the bank on our behalf. But actually, we haven't heard anything back at all.
Could have come from a different picture.
Yes, it might not have ever been to Christie's, actually.
What I've been doing is trying to make sure, before we go any further, that this picture hasn't been stolen. Because buying something from an antiques fair, nothing wrong with that, but no paperwork at all. We don't want to end up with something that's hot.
We've checked the lost art database, the FBI's National Stolen Art File,
and conducted a full search of the art loss register, which includes 700,000 items that have been looted or stolen.
Looked at all the lists. It doesn't have a stolen history.
Well, at last, some positive news. That's good. Let's look at the timeline. We've got 2022, Ardingly, where we know Barry bought it. Then we have this big gap all the way back in time to 1916, when hopefully Churchill painted it. And the only other date we've got is 1978, when Barry's picture may have passed through Christie's, assuming the backing board and that stencil were attached to Barry's picture then.
Well, I mean, in terms of supporting paperwork, that's about as bad as it gets.
Yes, and actually there's more bad news, because let's focus in on 1916. The inscription on the back of the painting and Violet Bonham Carter in her book both say the picture was painted in June 1916. That's the month. But looking at the historical records about Churchill, I can place him at Hurstman Zoo in August 1916, but there's no record of him being there in June.
That's awkward.
Yeah, you can say that again. Could someone have read her book where she describes Churchill painting a picture for which there's no record in the catalogues, and then faked that painting, claiming that they had found it?
It's very cynical, this, but fakers did do that.
It might explain why the date of June that Violet Bonham Carter mentions in her book is replicated on the painting, but it's not repeated anywhere else in any information about Churchill.
Violet's book was written half a century after the events she describes. Could she have made a mistake about the date being June, and this mistake was then incorporated into a forgery?
You know, as you say, that is awkward, and we need to find some other way where we can feel comfortable placing Churchill at Hurstman Zoo in 1916 in the month of June.
With the Provenance Trail running cold, is there anything in the picture itself that could tell us exactly when Churchill could have painted it at Hurstman Zoo? August, when his letters show he was there, or June, as written on the back of the painting? When, I wonder, would those gorgeous pink roses have been in bloom? I've come to RHS Wisley to meet Michael Marriott.
Hi, nice to meet you.
One of the world's leading rose experts.
I want to pick your brains about the rose.
Oh, yes.
What kind of rose might it be, when it might have flowered?
All right. Almost certainly a rambler of some sort, I think, the way it's sort of trained going up and down the balustrade. But we've got some specimens in the herbarium. Maybe we could look at those and see if we can pinpoint a bit more.
OK, thanks.
OK.
The herbarium at Wisley houses the UK's largest collection of ornamental plant specimens. Michael has been scouring their archives looking for rose varieties that were around in 1916 and that resemble the ones in Barry's picture.
So here we've got three varieties that I think could be possibilities. If you look actually at the original painting, you can see they're in sort of fairly big heads of flowers. The interesting thing about this is the variation in colour from the strong pinks to the paler pinks. Debutante, which is quite a lot paler than the one in the painting, and rather sparse flowers, you see, not so many flowers there. Dorothy Perkins, which is it's a classic old variety, slightly sort of odd colour, and again, a little bit on the sparse side. But this is the one that I think is most likely, which is Blush Rambler, which you can see you've got big heads of flowers, which you can see in the painting there.
Yes, because this has got masses of flowers, hasn't it?
Yeah. I've got an image of a Blush Rambler here, actually, which was taken just a few years ago. And what you can see there is the variation colour. So some flowers are really deep pink and they fade to a blush colour.
And what makes you think this is a rambler as opposed to a climber?
The fact that it's going up and down the balustrades. So ramblers have more lax stems, which are easier to train along and up and down. And if you try to train a climber, which has rather stiffer stems, downwards like that, it would object and probably die off.
And colour-wise, the Blush Rambler?
Yes, it's not exactly right, but there were a whole stack of varieties in that time. Most of them have not been grown anymore now.
And ramblers, they only flower once, don't they?
There's always exceptions that proves the rule, but in those days, ramblers practically all flowered only once.
So we think this painting could have been painted in June. Is that when a rambler like this would flower?
Yes, and possibly into early July, but really after that it would have finished by then.
I mean, we know that Churchill was at Hurstman Zoo in August as well. Is there any chance that if this is a rambler, as you believe it is, it could have been flowering in August?
No, August is much too late for those sort of ramblers.
So even if we can't be sure exactly what kind of rambler rose it is, and I appreciate that is a tall order when there are hundreds of them, you think, looking at this, it has to be a rambler because of the way it's festooned with flowers and the way it's cascading over this balustrade. Yeah. And if it is a rambler, it could only really be flowering in June.
That fits quite nicely, very nicely.
It fits very nicely. I have to say, before I met you, I thought this was going to be an impossible ask, given how many... there are thousands of types of roses, aren't there? But this is... I mean, it's not scientific proof, but it's really encouraging.
Yeah.
Thank you. You are the roses man.
Thank you.
So, according to a world-renowned authority, the painting appears to show Hurstman Zoo Garden in June or early July, just as Violet Bonham Carter and the inscription describe. But we still can't prove that it was Churchill who painted it.
But maybe this is where Aviva's scientific investigations can help. Back at London's Courtauld Institute, she's been forensically studying Barry's picture, which is on canvas that has been later mounted onto board. Aviva and her colleague Nathan Daly have been using an MA XRF scanner to identify the pigments used in the painting and to assess whether they were available during Churchill's lifetime. They've also taken an X-ray to see beneath the surface. Barry and I are joining them.
Hi, Aviva. Barry.
Hi, Vivian. Nice to meet you.
Nathan.
Hello.
To hear the results.
So what have you discovered?
Well, we've looked at the surface of the picture, we've looked at the edges, we've learned quite a lot about the painting, but we've got some interesting things to show you. Firstly, the X-ray. One of the key things that I think you can see is that there are these little holes in the corner with a little circular shape. It could be that some spacers were used to transport the picture, which would mean that a slightly wet painting could be separated from something else, perhaps for transport.
The pinholes Aviva has seen in the X-ray might be from spacers that kept the picture protected while it was transported when wet. This could be a vital clue if we can show that Churchill often used this technique.
So the next thing that was really useful was element mapping.
By establishing the chemical elements present in the painting, Aviva and Nathan are able to identify some of the pigments that were used for the different coloured paints.
We can map the cadmium yellows in the lighter green foliage. We also have mercury in the lovely red roses as well.
So, pivotal question here. Is there anything that you've discovered that wasn't around in 1916 or 17? Anything that could upset the apple cart with this picture?
There's nothing that we wouldn't find in a picture from 1915 or 16.
OK, well, so far, so good. So what else?
I could see right from the beginning, just by looking at the painting with low magnification under the microscope around the edges, that there's bits of dried paint of a different colour.
If Aviva is right that there is more paint beneath the surface, this could have big implications for our investigation.
If we go back to the X-ray and rotate that, I think you might make out a tower-like feature there.
It's hard to make out just from the X-ray, but by overlaying the zinc map on top of it, which indicates where certain paint colours have been used, shown here in pink, the form becomes clearer, and it doesn't appear to correspond to our garden scene.
We're looking at what could be another composition beneath. In other words, an alternative view?
Absolutely.
So we'd have overpainted, we reused the canvas.
Like many artists, we know that Churchill did reuse canvases. Canvas is all the better for past impressions, he wrote.
And to be clear, it would have been on the side, the first painting,
yes.
And then...
Landscape.
Landscape, absolutely. And the artist, let's pray it's Churchill, then moves it up for an alternative composition.
Absolutely right.
You can see that the composition is sort of bisected by hill line, what looks like a sort of unfurling landscape, and then bang in the middle, that tower. It's definitely a deliberate composition, this. And if you will away the confusing bits of the later painting, it seems To me, can you make it out, Barry? What would you say it was?
Herstmonceux Castle.
Well, it looks like a castle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There are similarities between the underpainting and the front of Herstmonceux Castle as viewed from the southeast, with towers, bridge over the moat, and rising ground behind.
So this is an abandoned composition of the same general place, Herstmonceux, but he's replaced it with a view of the sunken garden. That's quite a revelation.
This is all very promising. A determined faker could, after all, have created a painting to match Violet's description of Churchill in the garden. But would a forger have bothered with an underpainting of a scene like this? Probably not. Then again, this isn't the knockout blow we're looking for either.
Now it's my turn to meet up with Barry, to investigate a mystery we have yet to solve. Who wrote the inscription on the back? Handwriting analyst Emma Bache has been comparing it to the writing of our key suspects. People Violet Bonham Carter says were at Herstmonceux that weekend in June 1916. She's looked at the writing of Violet, Herstmonceux's owner, Claude Lowther, Clementine Churchill, and Winston Churchill himself. Hi, Emma.
Hi.
This is Barry.
Hi, Barry.
Hey, lovely to meet you, Emma.
Very lovely to meet you too.
So it's Barry's picture that we're investigating.
Really exciting.
So where do you want to start?
Oh, I don't know. I think we should start with Winston's writing. Now, we're looking at a copy here, but Winston's writing, it's quite illegible. It's not nearly as legible as the inscription on the painting. And I simply do not see enough similarities to make me think that it's been written by him at all.
Well, this is a blow. According to Emma, there's no way Churchill inscribed the back of the painting. Could it at least have been someone in his immediate circle?
I also looked at Clementine's writing here, but I could rule her out. It definitely wasn't her writing.
So you looked at Violet Bonham Carter, you say?
Yes. Now, Violet has got very interesting writing. She's got these enormously wide spaces between the words.
Actually, you can see that, Barry, can't you? All the big spaces between the writing. Yeah.
And then these sort of loops, very artistic. This is lovely handwriting as well, but it's not the same.
Strike 3, just one suspect left. So that leaves Claude Lowther, who owned Herstmonceux.
Exactly.
So what can you ascertain from his
writing?
writing?
Well, this becomes a little bit more interesting. We're looking at the J there, slightly angled to the left, the downstroke, and then you've got the much more angular going up, and then the horizontal bar at the top is quite short, but again, angled up. And then if we compare it to this one, it is so similar.
Can you see that, Barry?
I can, yeah.
If we look at the Herstmonceux, if we look at the final letter X, can you see that that baseline suddenly drops off a cliff a little bit? It sort of dips down, and it's doing exactly the same here.
So the J and the X looks similar to the handwriting of Claude Lowther. Anything else?
If we look at the capital C, can you see that there's a little curlicue, which is the first stroke of the C, and it's been slightly filled in. But if we look at the Claude Lowther signature, there is the same little curlicue at the top there.
So in your professional opinion then, Emma, this writing on the back of Barry's picture is the writing of Claude Lowther?
In my professional opinion, it's been written by the same person. And if we know that those are Claude Lowther's letters, then that's been written by Claude Lowther.
This might just be the breakthrough we've been hoping for. The inscription on the back of the painting matches the writing of Claude Lowther, the man who invited Churchill to stay at Herstmonceux Castle. The spelling of Herstmonceux is the same as well.
So it's probably gifted to Lowther from Churchill.
Oh, you look a bit overcome with that.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It's a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's good news,
goodness.
Graphology is not an exact science, but this is what I look at day in, day out.
Well, we're not there yet.
No.
But this is really encouraging.
Late in the day, we have a new lead. If we check lists of Lowther's possessions, it's possible the painting may be there.
I'm not quite as upbeat. We already have individual pieces of evidence that add up to a compelling case. But there's no smoking gun, which is what is all important for a Churchill authentication. And there's another stumbling block. We're even struggling to find an authority to present our evidence to, one that the art market will listen to.
There is an organisation called the Churchill Paintings Group, consisting of members of the family and experts. And they have got back to us saying that they're not in a position to be able to authenticate. Instead, that we should go to a professional auction house. So I suppose it's to a professional auction house we must now go.
When an artist's work significantly increases in value, as Churchill's has, potential authenticators can become nervous. So I'm heading to Bonham's, one of London's top auction houses, to meet Managing Director India Phillips.
Hello, India.
Hi, Philip. How are you? Lovely to see you. Come in.
If the Churchill Paintings Group won't authenticate, is she willing to take on the responsibility?
So we found ourselves in a really quite a curious situation with Barry's picture. The Paintings Group have said, while they're prepared to offer expertise, that they're not in a position, or they're not prepared to authenticate. They've handed that over, that possibility, to the auction houses.
It's not a position that we would personally want to take, authenticating works by an artist such as Churchill. We really want to rely on the opinion of recognised experts, people who have dedicated their entire lives and careers to the study of his work.
What is the impact, therefore, on the painting?
It is clearly very frustrating for collectors who do own objects like this, where there is so much evidence to really support an attribution, and yet the market remains nervous about accepting works that don't, let's say, tick all the boxes.
So in a nutshell, your advice to Barry, the owner?
My advice to Barry is to wait patiently. I think Churchill is going to continue to be extremely sought after. And with that, I think will come a natural need at a certain point to look at works that, say, haven't been published in the catalogue raisonné, and that an academic or somebody who has dedicated a lot of time to the study of Churchill's paintings will come to the fore and will take that responsibility.
It sounds as though you're almost handing it back to the Paintings Group.
I myself am waiting patiently.
That chat with India was really revealing. We find ourselves in a bamboozling position. On one hand, we've got the official Paintings Group handing over to the auction rooms the right of authenticity, the right to authenticate a painting. But in the view of one leading auction house, they don't want that right. They're not ready for it.
And I'm not making great progress either. We've identified Claude Lowther as a likely owner, but I found no mention of the painting in the sale of the contents of Herstmonceux Castle after his death in 1929. Nor is it in his will. The usual lines of provenance have run cold. What I have come across is an article in the Eastbourne Gazette, August 1916, titled Mr. and Mrs. Winston Churchill. And the author's talking about going to the Ritz on Friday for luncheon, as he puts it. And he says, I heard they were just starting off for Herstmonceux, where Colonel Claude Lowther has lent them the charming, picturesque cottage. Crucially for us, the bit at the end is most interesting. This is the one, this is the cottage, to which Mr. and Mrs. Winston Churchill have sent their children and where they are spending most of their weekends. This is clear evidence the Churchill family were using Lowther's cottage at Herstmonceux as a frequent holiday home that summer. There would have been ample opportunity for Churchill to paint Barry's picture.
Back at the gallery, I'm trying a new tack. Artist and Churchill paintings expert Paul Rafferty is the man who discovered the photographic evidence that proved our previous Churchill was indeed right. He's been studying digital images of Barry's picture and has come to the gallery to see it in person.
Hello, Paul. How nice to see you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Come through.
Thank you.
He's also an advisor to the paintings group. His support could be crucial.
So, Paul, this is the picture in question. Now, you're a man who's seen hundreds of Churchills.
Yes.
Difficult question, but what's your first instinctual response to this?
Well, I've studied this painting a lot. This is the first time I've seen it in life, and it's actually better in life. It's wonderful. I love it. Everything about this painting, I see Churchill.
So let's break it down. What are the aspects that shout Churchill?
If I could show a couple of technical aspects, this is a painting of the mill at St. George Motel in Normandy in the 1930s. I see marks that he would make that are very specific to him. In the sky, there's like a snake wiggle. He was right-handed. So he's done this. It was normally to block in an area. He's been quite loose with this.
Yeah.
You can just see it here. It's almost like a snake.
It's very distinctive.
Yes. But equally as compelling is I see it in the trees here also. And it's more of a pronounced M, like a series of M's. So it's a very different squiggle here. And I see that very distinctly in the blue. It's very hard to pick up, but it's there. And it really shows a calligraphy, a hand.
No, absolutely. It's when brushstrokes become like the handwriting of the artist.
Exactly. He was very impressionistic. He would just jump in, very bold, big brush, and go.
Anything else?
Yes. So if I could show you this next painting. This is of a similar time, a year earlier at Hoe Farm. One of the most pronounced things that sticks out to me are these flowers here. It's absolutely just like with the cobalt violets, the pinks and the whites, loosely mixed on his palette. And again, being right-handed, he would just pop them in, and they're identical. I mean, they could look like the same painting if they were the same size. So that is an incredible comparison.
I mean, you've made an extraordinarily powerful argument stylistically with the use of paint. Is there anything else in the way that he used his canvases that we could look for?
Well, I believe that he used pin marks in the corners. This is the way he would transport his paintings. He would put pins in the corner, two canvases pushed together, and it separates them so that they are allowed to dry without being disturbed.
And you can just see the cork there.
Exactly.
And then you can see the imprint.
Yes, everything's right about it. And many of the paintings have pin marks in the corners. There would be a pin and a cork, and it would separate the painting when he carried it home. It would protect it.
This is encouraging. Those telltale pinholes that Aviva noticed occur in other genuine works by Churchill. Paul's research reveals that the politician-turned-artist had a particular way of transporting his pictures.
As an expert witness, do you have any doubts at all?
I'm an advisor. I don't give the authority for paintings. But if I were to stand up and give my opinion, I would feel very confident in being positive about this painting.
Well, I think what you said is very reassuring.
Good.
And I look forward to telling Barry.
Normally at this point, we'd gather all our research together and submit the painting along with a dossier of information to the accepted authenticator. But given no formal body is willing to pass judgment on Barry's picture, we've made contact with a leading member of the paintings group, art historian Barry Phipps, who's agreed to offer an informal opinion based on our evidence. At the Wallace Collection, a London museum which will present a major retrospective of Churchill's paintings in 2026, I'm meeting Barry to give him the news.
Hi, Fiona.
Hey, Barry.
Lovely to see you.
And you? Right. I've got his assessment here. The continued fascination with Churchill's paintings is a testament to the enduring impact of his work and artistic legacy. The painting featured in the programme is compelling, and the remarkable depth of research invites a serious consideration that the work could indeed be by Sir Winston Churchill. Well, I should hope so. However, conclusive attribution requires documentary evidence linking the work to Churchill's well-documented archive. And with continued research, it's entirely possible that such evidence may yet come to light.
So it's not a no-no, is it?
It's not a no.
No.
It's not a yes either.
No.
But it's
But they haven't dismissed it, that's the main thing.
Far from dismissing it. He's taking it very seriously.
Yeah, still, I've still got hope for it.
This leaves the door open for more expertise on Churchill, new documents appearing, which has happened in our own experience.
Yeah.
There's going to be an exhibition here of Churchill's paintings next year here at the Warwick Collection. And of course, our programmes are going to go out. So I'd say watch this space, Barry.
Yeah. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you anyway.
Don't lose faith.
No, I won't. No, never, no.
The story of this painting isn't over. As a dealer, I'm all too familiar with the situation in which Barry now finds himself. But he's not without options.
Hello, Barry.
Hi, Philip.
How are you? How nice to see you.
Nice to see you again.
Although he will need to consider his situation very carefully.
So, Barry, there are two valuations for this picture. There's the valuation for those who have seen the evidence, as I have, and will see it in the programme, who are prepared to take a risk that this painting will be one day authenticated. And I think that's between £100,000 and £200,000.
Yeah, sure.
Or you wait. I'm not quite sure how long. It could be years.
Yeah.
And you get a full authentication and the picture is worth £600,000 or possibly more.
It's just... Sorry, I'm lost for words.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
You know, every time I look at it, it cheers me up. Lovely summer's day. I'll definitely keep it, Philip. I don't even think it's a gamble. I mean, I just wait, because I truly believe in it. It's such a wonderful thing, yeah.
Well, I admire your philosophy and your courage.
But I just like the glory of it being authenticated, me owning it. Even with the full attribution, if it made £5,000 or £10,000 more, I'd still wait, just knowing it's been authenticated.
So it's sounding this is more and more about the principle of getting
It's the principle, yeah. Of course the money's important, but it's more the principle for me, really.
Well, frankly, good on you, Barry. Fingers crossed. Really good luck. And I think I'd have made the same decision.
Thanks, Philip. Appreciate your help. Thank you.
If you think you have an undiscovered masterpiece or other precious object, contact us at bbc.co.uk/fakeorfortune.